Australian outback. The troops moved in as part of the new Task Force Horizon. The convoy of army trucks sent on a fresh police mission to find little Gus Lamont.
Wow, just have a look at these images. After apparently abandoning the search on the property one moment, it looks like an army has been mobilized and is back for one final swoop.
To ensure that essentially we're leaving no stone unturned in our efforts to now recover Gus from the property.
Eyes on target, troops hit the ground. A fresh and much wider search launched.
According to Commissioner Stevens, this is one of the biggest searches in Australian history.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't breathe. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. So more than 470 square kilometers have been searched, equivalent to the land area of 109 Adelaide CBDs, and that is a massive search area. It's a commendable effort from the Australians, and it's something we also saw in Malaysia during the search for Nora Corrin, where a huge military contingent combed the Malaysian jungle in that case. But we know, despite massive resources, it wasn't the army or an expert or technology that found Nora, and she was found less than a mile from the lodge, but just a group of amateur hikers. And the problem in that particular search was that someone didn't really look closely enough. I fear in this case, despite the search being as massive as it is, well, covering a massive area means you end up with too little butter over too much bread. I believe they ought to focus on the house and outbuildings, which is a maze in itself. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Big thank you to Debbie McNeil for your super thanks. And thanks very much also to Lena Jubb for yours, much appreciated. Lena writes, always my daily go-to for the last few years for authentic and thought-provoking analysis. Thank you. Well, thank you, Lena, and that's really good to hear. You finding this analysis worthwhile? Please do hit the thanks button and let's get started.
Almost 100 soldiers walked parts of the property more than 3 kilometres out from the homestead, where he was last seen by his grandma playing in sand on grand final night, September 27.
We are also seeing some contradiction in the mainstream media reporting, with some saying there's definitely foul play afoot here, while others say there's definitely not foul play. This is from the nightly.com. We have nothing to suggest foul play at this time, but we're obligated to consider every possibility. Then there's also this from the former lead detective in the William Tyrrell investigation, and it's from news.com.au. All signs now point to third-party involvement. From 9 News, there's nothing to suggest foul play in Gus's disappearance. All right, so which is it?
That our focus is largely on an exhaustive search of the property on the basis that Gus has wandered off, and we're hopeful that we can find him and return him to his family.
Personally, I think that's a mistake. I don't think Gus wandered off. What do you think? And what about the effect of the family, meaning affect, the external demeanor, the emotional reaction of this family to the little boy's disappearance?
The absolutely devastated family has asked for privacy as they deal with the unthinkable. The mother of Gus still caring for his brother, a 1-year-old baby, remaining hopeful of finally getting the answers they need.
Now, in a statement, the family have said they are absolutely devastated, but where you actually see footage of the family, do they look devastated? So which is it? One description of the family that caught my eye was this, from 9 News. I would describe them as stoic, Stevens said. He then goes on to talk about, you can imagine just how they are feeling without having Gus and without having the answers. This would be traumatic for any family. Well, certainly you can imagine how they're feeling, But it's certainly quite strange. I haven't really seen any tears, but then at the same time, we're not really seeing this family really at all. But that word stoic is the word the South Australia Police Commissioner Grant Stevens has chosen. And I have to say, it raises an eyebrow. A little child goes missing and the family around him seem to be stoic. And their stoicism is so apparent that none of them are really even appearing on camera. No one is appealing for help from the public to such an extent that, remember, it took quite a few days even for a picture of Gus to emerge. And right now there's only this one single picture.
Ever heard anything quite like it, sir?
Expect not.
What does stoic mean? It means a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings. While different people clearly show their emotions differently, what I'm seeing here is a very odd situation, not only with the family being stoic, but not condescending to appeal to the media for help. When have we ever seen that before? Have we ever seen that before? The stoicism sort of makes sense in the sense that one of the people in the story has had to hide their true feelings, I guess, for a lifetime. Is it from the father or the father-in-law? I'm not quite sure, but this is a kind of covering up and a kind of stoicism of its own. I find that interesting in the context of what we're dealing with here. I also think the whole "we will leave no stone unturned" thing is interesting. It's the same hyperbole we heard in the Madeleine McCann case. I mean, that kind of thing talk is cheap. It's not really about leaving stones unturned. It's about looking closely in the right places. It's not about quantity, but quality. It's not about just searching, but the strategy of your search. And to still think that Gus has wandered off, as far as I'm concerned, is not brilliant strategy. I can understand that the police aren't going to be completely transparent and say exactly what they're doing in the middle of an investigation.
The police commissioner this morning announcing a new police specialist team investigating the case, named Task Force Horizon.
We have had people dedicated to the search for Gus, but based on the fact that we've yet to find him and that we will have an ongoing commitment to this exercise, we have established a task force to make sure that we coordinate it as we would any other policing operation.
I do think his use of the word recovery, that they're trying to recover Gus, speaks volumes about what's really going on here. This isn't really a search for a missing person anymore. It's a search for the remains, essentially, of a missing person.
That's right, Will. Police have just told us that sadly they haven't found any new signs of little Gus during today's search, but they're not giving up.
Well, I do think we need to start talking about a criminal investigation and foul play, because children don't just disappear into thin air. Gus, dead or alive, is somewhere, and I think someone out there knows where, don't you? Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.